The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
What time is it?
I am the face that runs the place.
You need Roman to be out of the main title picture for a little while. Like, just, you give him a break. This is the only way you're possibly going to get the crowd to do anything but boo him, is give him a break.
I'm the greatest wrestler in the world.
It was exciting to see because it kind of reminded me of Reading Rainbow a little bit.
All they needed was LeVar Burton to come in there.
Well, this would have definitely got a 5-star pay-per-view for me.
Show of the year.
Yeah, show of the year.
Chris Jericho said we'd see the real Kevin Owens tonight. And guess what? He was right. Everyone got to see the real Kevin Owens. And the real Kevin Owens is the guy that left Chris Jericho laying in the middle of the ring, wishing he had never, ever said the things he said. People like Steve Austin, The Rock, Triple H. Those are the people that truly inspired me. Chris Jericho was always just a guy I liked. He was entertaining, just like he is today. But at WrestleMania, this is not going to be about entertainment because, trust me, everyone watching will be absolutely disturbed by what they see me do to their best friend, Chris Jericho.
Ladies and gentlemen, wrestling to the mat.
And your hosts, Gary Vaughan, Sean Garmer, and Paul Leazar.
Welcome, everyone, to Wrestling to the Max, episode 239, part 1. And boy, do we have an interesting show for you tonight. Let's just say you may just want to listen for some of the more explicit content, if you get my drift. We will be getting into a lot of different topics, of course. One of the big things we'll be talking about is those leaked videos. Yeah, that's explicit stuff I'm talking about for Paige herself. Of course, we've had several different videos come out, and now we get a chance to discuss them and kind of get into what we think about the videos. Of course, these, situations are always kind of touchy because many people have...
Hold on. I want to make clear that we're not going to talk about the videos themselves. As in, we're not going to give any kind of descriptions on those videos themselves. That's for your own interpretation. Your own thought.
Well, guys, I'm going to be leaving the show now. Paul and Sean got this. I was going to talk all about details minute by minute. Joking. No, but Sean, thank you for saying that because we're really not going to do that. If you're looking for that kind of content, I'm sure there may be a show out there on the internet for you, but that's really not the thing. That'll be on your own time. Trust me. Go get the video yourself, view it yourself, go get whatever you need to watch it with. And then, there you go. But for us personally, we're just going to discuss the social aspect of this, how it affects Paige, how it affects the people around her, how it affects, of course, the wrestling industry and other things. There's a lot of things that come into play. I mean, this is not just about the wrestling industry either. This is about, women's rights, things like that. We'll be talking about all of this great content. Plus, we're getting into some other big news in wrestling, of course. What's up with Wrestlemania? Who are the people you may see? Some surprises, maybe some people sticking around after Wrestlemania. Also some things going on in the indie circuit that you're going to want to hear about. So trust me, we got plenty of great news topics talking about tonight. And also, we're going to be getting into some New Japan Cup. That's right. New Japan Cup had a lot go on this past weekend, and they got a lot of interesting stuff in there for you. So Sean and Paul are going to take you down that path and give you all the stuff that you need to know about New Japan Cup. Also, we'll be talking Ring of Honor. That's right. They had a big taping this week. The Top Prospect Tournament is still going on, so we'll talk about that in that part of the show. But besides that and all the rundown of what we're doing tonight, I am your host, Gary Vaughan. Of course, with me is Mr. Sean Garmer.
What's up, everybody?
And Mr. Paul Leazar.
Heyo.
And boy, do we have an exciting show, like I said before. So, I mean, we're going to be getting into these topics that I think are going to be maybe stressful, maybe not. I don't know. I'm just looking forward to having a good time. This is what we do on the show, right? We have a great time. And, of course, if you want to find out more about the fun shows we have, because trust me, we have a lot of fun shows we do, you need to go check out W2Mnet.com, because not only do we do this show, we do, of course, the next show, part 2, which will be on Friday on the download for you guys. We also do a lot of review shows. If you're not familiar with that, we do Monday Night Raw, of course, the SmackDown Live, 205 Live, and, of course, NXT. So go check out all that stuff. We don't want you to miss a minute of the action. But yeah, besides that and all the plugging, we're going to just jump into this thing head first. We've got a bunch of stuff to get into. So let's start off by talking quick hits. That's right. All the big news will be coming out. So we're just going to go ahead and play the quick hits music, and then we'll just jump right into this Paige deal. We'll be right back with that next.
It's time for wrestling news. Quick hits.
Well, this is certainly not going to be a quick hit at all. So,
well, and I thought to myself, I could just start out the show by talking about this without even playing the drop. And I'm like, you know what? Let's just play the drop and let's just jump into this thing full force. And we'll get into the rest of the news topics. We honestly have some great news topics to talk about, but they're not so ginormous as this. So we want to start out by talking about Paige. And if you're not familiar with this, if you don't know anything about it, I think Paul and Sean, they have so much to offer. I don't even know as much as these two guys do, but I'm going to set this thing up for you guys. Over this past week, they had some videos come out, and this is, of course, some of the rumor material has come to fruition. That's right. Brad Maddox had some stuff apparently in the past that have been rumored about him having some videos of Paige and some other divas, some other ladies that were wrestling with WWE. And now we're finding out that, Paige is in quite a bit of this with Brad Maddox. And now she also has a video with Xavier Woods, which is a very interesting thing, too, because Xavier Woods is going to be one of those guys hosting WrestleMania. That's going to affect him possibly. We don't know. Maybe not at all. Maybe they don't touch him. So there's so many things about this, but these are all videos that have explicit material. Of course, they're sex tapes. You would expect that. Plus, there's also nude photos that have came out. So this is just a giant hack. Maybe. I don't know. There's thought process that maybe even Brad Maddox, vindictively let these things come out so he could kind of do some things. We're also hearing some, thought process coming out that maybe Paige wanted this all to come be leaked out so she can get WWE to fire her now. So there's many different thought process going with this. I want to know what you two guys have to say, though. You guys have kind of followed along with this. I just got to know. Sean, I mean, the way this is all worked out, and this after this whole thing is settled, the dust is still kind of settling at the moment. How do you feel about this whole thing?
I mean, for one, her phone was stolen, and then they hacked into her iCloud and got all the photos and videos of her. And this is back when she was in NXT champion. So she's anywhere from 19 to 21 in these videos. Brad Maddox is anywhere from 25 to 26. This is also when Xavier Woods was in NXT. He's only in one video. And this is when Xavier Woods was the Power Ranger Big Fro guy. If you don't remember, which actually I should have mentioned that WWE is adding those years of NXT to the network as we speak. So, and then you can also go listen to our. Oh no, you can't. You can I need to upload those one day. I keep saying I'm going to, but if I ever do, you can go back and actually listen to Gary and I talk about those years of NXT too. But anyway, get on this serious topic here. Look, I want to put this before we say anything about anything. And because I know that there could be women that listen to this, and they're men as well, because we all have different views and feelings and all this kind of stuff. And there was arguments in the group and everything when these questions were brought up. And I want to make this clear that as a father myself, Gary, also a father of daughters here, anything we say here is just meant to talk about the topic at hand, the things that have been brought up. It is not us speculating or saying that this is what Paige did, or this is what this person did, or that person did. We are just basically going to talk about everything that's been presented over the weekend by other people, what WWE could do, what they may do, what they won't do, all these kinds of things. We're not saying anything in particular, so I really hope that you guys listen to this, and I hope that we be fair and not go attack me on Twitter later because I said something and I'm being, something against women or anything like that, because honestly, if this was my daughter in this situation, I don't know how. I honestly don't envy Saraya and Bobby Knight, or Mr. Knight at all. That is a terrible, terrible thing that they have to deal with right now. Horrible. I don't, and apparently this has driven Paige to the point where she's depressed. They're worried about her killing herself. We already know how Paige's mental state has been fragile since she's been with, a certain Alberto El Patron, whether she's been, doing drugs or anything or not with him, we don't know. But she is engaged to the man, and I can't imagine that he's happy about this at all. And we don't know. I mean, part of it could be that perhaps he's not being supportive and she's freaking out over that, or it could all just be about, it doesn't matter about how much family support she has and he's being supportive as well. It just, this is going to, listen, let's be honest here. This follows you forever. And not everybody's Kim Kardashian. Not everybody's looking to make a buck off stuff like this. And so, we have to keep that in perspective. But I just wanted to come out and say that, look, the leaking stuff is terrible. The leaking, before I say anything else, getting hacked should not happen. People should be able to put things where they want, whether it's in the cloud, Dropbox, Google Images, or not Google Images publicly, the Google Photos or whatever, Facebook Photos, and not have to worry about getting hacked. But the reality is, people are out there that do this kind of stuff. And I hope that WWE now, if they're not doing it, I hope that now they are, of sitting these guys down at NXT, sitting them down backstage, and saying, look, I know you probably never do this, but you need to go through your photo buckets, your Dropboxes, your iClouds. Look at them. Make sure that if you want something erased, erase it off there too. Because I feel like this is what happened. Paige erased it off her phone, and then she didn't realize that this is back in 2000. People seem to have a problem of trying to mark when this was. Whether this was, Paige is 24 now, whether this was 5 years ago, or 3 years ago, or 2 years ago, or whatever. That's still a long time. I probably have pictures in my Dropbox that I haven't seen, that if I go look, I'm like, oh God, I don't think I want that there. So, for her, I can't, that's just, it's unfathomable that you have that there and you forgot, and somebody hacks into your stuff and it's gone. And I also want to point out that Caitlyn had pictures of her put on the internet. Maria had selfies of her put on the internet. Summer Rae's weren't naked, but she had some of hers put on the internet as well. So this is affecting more than just Paige, too. And then also celebrities. There's been other celebrities that have been hacked in this as well. So, but this seems to be leaked by somebody. We don't know who it is. But they are, I guess they're working on it or whatever. But, Paul, this is just one of those tricky things,
This is a very real problem that we have, and I mean, not just in this country, but everywhere. The internet, all these things, they're connected to everything: your phones, your computers, your whatever else you're using, tablets, Lord knows what else. And I really won't be surprised if coming out of this, WWE doesn't try to do something akin to what the NFL does. Because the NFL has classes for rookies and stuff like this where they're mandatory, where you have to sit down and listen to them tell you sort of how you need to present yourself and work using social media. And not just social media, but I think just how to generally comport yourself as a human being. And not to say that there isn't anything inherently wrong with this, because there's not. It's just people having sex, right? I mean, we all do it. It's natural, whatever. This is illegal, and it's a huge invasion of their privacy, and now it's out there for everybody to see. And this is a big deal for them and all that. And I don't want to understate that, because I think this is a rather huge deal. People have careers, may or may not be on the line, although from everything that we're hearing, WWE is seemingly taking the stance that it's not them who did this. It's a terrible thing. There probably won't be any punishments, although something similar to what happened with Xavier, where maybe you're not presented live on TV for a couple weeks to let this blow over some, might be a very real thing. This really sucks, right? I mean, it's terrible for them, and it's just a very real problem that people have to learn how to deal with now and be smarter about how they're using technology and the internet and everything else that goes along with living in the 21st century.
Yeah, and it's so weird that, I grew up at a time period where it wasn't accessible for most part to do anything like this. Now, I didn't grow up in the 1950s. I'm not saying that. But, the internet was not very strong in the late 90s. It was here, but it wasn't as strong. You didn't have your phone connect to the entire world. Mm-hmm. Your phone connected to another phone. That's about it. You didn't have video chats and things like that. And then later on, now you live in this world where people at the age of 10, 8 years old, kids, can literally talk to kids in India and flip of a button, touch the button and here you go, and things like that. So it surprises me that people don't think about this at this time where we've had this technology for quite a while now. I mean, it's been around where you can do anything what you want to with your phone, a tablet, anything like that, where any video you make, any picture you make, it can be sent at, maybe 2 clicks. Share, and then send where you want to share it, right? Then it's all over the world. You'll never get that back. It'll always be on the internet. And that's the danger of this stuff. I mean, I'll be honest with you. In my personal life, I've, thought it'd be funny to do different things, whether it be sex-related or not sex-related. I've thought about, taking funny pictures and stuff like that. And I thought to myself, I can't do that, because if I put that out there, someone may view it. I may look bad on me. Maybe, people in my personal life, or maybe even a future employer may see that, and then, I don't get opportunities, or people look bad at me. So you people, I'm a little bit surprised at this time don't think about that. But once again, we're talking about Paige, right? 19, 20 years old. I'm older than that now. I'm not 19 or 20. When I was 19 or 20 and this was out, it was in its infancy when I was 19 and 20. If it was like this when I was that age, good God, I'd be so scared of what I'd have put out there. Oh, God, I'd probably have my own videos online somewhere. A W2M exclusive, Gary and the Gary After Dark in real life. That would be on the internet right now. So thank God it wasn't around. So I don't blame Paige at all. I don't. This is a situation where she thought it would be fun. She probably approved of all this. And I really don't think she.
Well, I mean, there's videos of her doing stuff to herself. So,
yeah. So, but she didn't. I don't think she was planning on sending it around the world. Now, there probably are people that think that she may have done this on purpose. I don't think so. I don't think that you want the entire world. If you do, I think there's something seriously wrong. And what I mean by that is you need attention. You're craving attention. And I don't know. Does she really need to crave attention? I don't think so. I mean, she's still kind of a semi-celebrity.
Yeah, I no. This is not. Again, we don't. All we know is that this is a phone stolen hack, and to the other people, this sucks as well. Maria's already had Playboy photos, so. Even though it is an invasion of her privacy, people have already seen. She's already put herself out there in that way. For Caitlyn and for Paige, this sucks. Caitlyn has gotten to the, as close as you can get to that, but she, never intended for this stuff to get out either. And it's one of these things where, again, like Paul said, we live in this age, right? And is the important part, right? Mm-hmm. It's making sure that when you're driving your car, you're not driving drunk, and that you're looking both ways before you turn the corner, or making sure you make your own drinks at a party, or, anything you possibly to avoid getting a roofie put in your drink. If it does happen, I want to make this clear. If somebody does become the asshole that puts the roofie in your drink, that's not your fault ever. It doesn't matter whether you took the precaution or not, because nobody should ever do that. Same thing, nobody should ever hack your iCloud. But this is where you just have to be aware that there are a lot of things that you have on your phone that will auto-upload. And you need to make sure that if you film something of this nature and you don't want it getting out, you need to stop auto-upload, probably erase it off your phone, put it on some kind of thumb drive, something that's in your house and only in your house, where the only way they're going to get a hold of it is if they physically break into your house and steal it.
Exactly.
Right,
Yeah, there's
I mean,
plenty of
you
ways.
shouldn't have, look, you shouldn't have to do this. I want to make this clear again. You shouldn't have to do this, but this is the world in which we live. Okay? You have to protect yourself, because guess what's continuing to happen? We are getting into an increasingly digital age. More and more things will stop to exist physically and only exist digitally. And we're going to have to deal with this stuff. More and more as we get older, as our kids get older, it is going to be all in our hands. Everything, all this stuff now where people can hack into whatever they want to and get whatever information they want to, that's going to happen probably even more. And who knows what regulations are going to be put on it by the government, or if they can even do anything. So, you need to protect yourself. There's people that don't have cell phones because they're scared the government's going to listen to their conversations. It sounds silly, but when you think about it, they may not be wrong. So, I'm just saying, you've got to take every preventative measure that you can. Moving forward, that is a great course of action for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to, like you said, you got to play it smart. You got to do the right things to protect yourself. I mean, let's just say, if you're doing a video on your phone and you don't want it snuffed the internet, it's very simple. Go to your settings, turn off your Wi-Fi, turn off your internet, turn off anything that connects you to the outside world, where your phone is just a phone. Record it, take it home, download it onto your device, your USB drive, or something else that's not on your computer that has internet, or on a computer at your house that doesn't have it. Do those kind of things to be smart. Facebook Live is on your phone. Trust me, it takes one click. You're live in front of the entire world. So you got to be careful about anything you do with your phone. And I don't think that, once again, we're going back to Paige, I don't think necessarily she did this on purpose. I mean, whatever it was, a hack, whether it was, someone else doing it. I mean, like we talked about earlier, there could be the thought process that she wanted to get fired. I don't think she wants to do this to get fired from WWE. I think she could do even more. I mean, honestly.
Especially not with that movie coming out now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great point. And Paul, I mean, looking at this, going forward, I mean, there's other ways for her to get fired. She can hold up a Nazi flag, things
well,
like that.
I mean, she's already done enough. Like, you shouldn't be showing up backstage at Impact Wrestling.
Yeah, yep, totally.
Yeah.
But looking forward, what we're seeing, I mean, how do you feel like they can overcome this? I mean, WWE may be able to just kind of let it go, but how much can they really do with Paige now, especially after this, after all the stuff that she's doing, showing an Impact?
Before we get into that, I do want to get into this one, because this is the one thing that I feel like has raised the ire of people, and kind of it just depends on your thought process or whatever, but there is a video and picture of, and we don't know whether it's a replica or it's the one that they carry around with them as champion, but there's a video of somebody coming on top of the NXT Women's Championship that Asuka currently holds. And Paige's face is right there as well, clearly visible. So, and I've even seen where somebody that apparently talks to WWE, the only thing that she could get heat for is that, because that's a WWE own thing that is now being desecrated for the world to see, or whatever, and there could be something based on that, but again, they still have to be careful with it, because then you get into the sexism aspect of, if you punish Paige, why are you not punishing Xavier Woods? All that kind of stuff, and if you either got to punish both of them, or you don't punish either one, or, would they fine her for something like that, or whatever, or just say, look, now there is a even big. They do have morality clauses in their contracts, by the way, but we don't really know what the extent of those are or what they explicitly say or whatever. But perhaps they have to make those more explicit now. To what you can do while you are contracted to WWE in your private time or whatever, that if they do get leaked while you're under contract, that they can decide to whatever, but it's just do you guys think that Paige could get in trouble for that? Or do you think that they just won't do anything? Or, I think she was supposed to be scheduled to come back like in April or May. Do you think we just don't see her until maybe SummerSlam or something? Or what do you think? Like this, because there's a lot of people saying, oh, she's not going to ever come back at all now. Or, what do you think?
So to try to answer Gary's question first about how exactly they try to go about maybe either handling this or preventing it in the future, I haven't a clue, to be honest with you. I think you can't tell people what to do when they're not at work. That's their time. And I understand that they are in the public light and all these things, but that's their time. That's what they do. And like you said, I think you can preach to them about having better control about what they're doing in their time, but you can't actually tell them you have to do this, all that stuff, right? Yeah. If they punish Paige for this, I don't know if you can. This is the title thing is the big catch point here, because I don't think you could punish her for this, because I guarantee you, as I think Limchi brought this up in the group, that both Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels probably did things that were way worse with their respective heavyweight championship belts when they had them around their waist. I could believe that. And they, thank God that what we have now didn't exist back then,
Oh,
I don't think you really can, though. Whether it's the actual belt or not, we probably will never know. And ultimately, it's really kind of messed up that they used it, but at the same time, if the old school rule still stands of them paying deposits to carry the belts around with them, technically you can't really fault them for it,
Yeah. I think I agree with Paul here, but here's the thing. Once you do desecrate the title, once you, make the company look like it's well,
remember this is a company that desecrates its own title sometimes, but
but I don't see Triple H coming out there and ejaculating on any title. That'd be like someone like putting the title in the toilet and then just taking a giant dump and oh, that's funny. That's just different than them doing other silly things. I just think that it's disrespectful to a point, and I think the company should be upset about that. It just be
right, but I think you'll just have to be upset about it, though.
Mm-hmm.
There could be people that are upset about it in the locker room, other wrestlers or whatever, but I don't think you can punish her because, again, you're punishing people for having sex and then deciding to want to film it in the privacy of the hotel room or where they were staying, or if Xavier Woods and Brad Maddox and Paige decide that they want to have a threesome or whatever and film it because they're young and you do dumb things in an age where we have a social media platform that exists called Instagram, where most of it is for you to take pictures of food that you're eating, or just any picture that you want to just put it on there, or Snapchat that just exists to do stupid things. Like, this is the world that we live in now,
Yeah,
and so, I mean...
You say that, though, but you got to think about the fact that, WB is a corporation. Yes, it's an entertainment corporation. It's still a corporation. It still has standards. You can't work for Bank of America and then put on your Facebook account you peeing all over a Bank of America picture, or you couldn't have,
Well, I can get fired from Kmart for talking shit about Kmart on Facebook.
You sure can. It's a corporation, and you are violating your, something. I don't know if you signed anything, but it's a violation of company policy. And maybe WB doesn't have that. Maybe they don't.
No,
I
do.
would be surprised.
They do, because
okay,
you can't.
Let's see.
Well, you can't go on. You can go on social media and do some cryptic things, but if you outright just go, I hate this company, and they're, you're gonna get fired. So,
well, that's my
we've
point.
seen it.
You say you can't punish Paige for having sex, and just like they couldn't punish you for having sex on and putting it on YouTube or something, Sean, and they couldn't fire you from Kmart. But if you were doing it and then you were doing some kind of act towards Kmart, I'm sure you would get fired. You'd probably get a notice the next day. You're gone. And not saying they should fire Paige. This is a long time ago. I think there should be a statute of limitations here. But at the same point, I don't think this is something they should be like, oh, yeah, hey, guys, don't worry. Asuka, hey, if you want to next week, you saw what happened to that championship. You could do the same thing. No, you got to be respectful, and you got to let the people know that work for your company, hey, this is the standards we hold you to. If this would have happened, years ago, we understand, but nope, this is now. So you want the group coming up to understand that this is not acceptable. Now, is it ever going to be stopped, Paul? You're right. It's never. In fact, I expect more to come out in the future. I'm expecting down the line, our next, future superstars, they're going to have these kind of videos. I mean, one of these days, Liv Morgan's going to have one of these, and we're going to be talking about, oh my God, she's the SmackDown champion, and I can't believe that her and
it's
Sean
not just
were doing this.
Listen, listen. I mean, let's be honest here. These men and women are on the road 250 to 300 days a year. They're going to get bored. There's probably a lot of, I don't mean to be an asshole here, but there's probably a lot of cheating that does go on that nobody ever knows about because they don't film it. Okay?
Yeah.
Because why? Just like with sports stars. Listen, I'm not sitting here trying to say that every person that's in a relationship is doing that or whatever. There are people that have standards and perhaps they're not. But they're going to do this because they go to a hotel room at night. And then they get up and do the same routine again, or they have some promotion that they have to go do, or they have some interview that they got to go cut, or whatever. They're going to go to a bar and drink, or they're going to go, whatever, and like, other than going to pick up some chicks or some guy at the bar, why do we have so many of these wrestler and women the women wrestler relationships now? Because you get to see each other all the time. You don't have to deal with the whole, we're on the road and then I don't see my wife and whatever. So like, this stuff happens. So I don't think that, like Gary said, this is not going to be the last of it. But these, like, whole taking selfies and sending, the pics over to the other one because you miss them, and that's just a trademark of this generation. Everybody freaking does this. Not everybody, but you know what I'm saying. Like, this generation, that's what they do. Okay? They send dick pics. They send this kind of, pic over to this girl to be like, hey, whatever. Like, and then this, they send selfies of themselves in a mirror so you can see what they look like. Or just, hey, I miss you. Here's me so you can think of me or whatever. And it's just like, look, this should be stuff you could share without having to worry about other people possibly seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a celebrity or you're in the limelight like you are in WWE, you have to just understand that, hey, drop this into something that I can't even say that because it's just like almost everything is connected to the internet now.
Yeah.
So every time you plug something in, there's a possibility that somebody that's hacking or whatever can see that you plugged it in, and they can go and look at the crap that's on there, and they can decide to whatever. But it's just and there's also the possibility too of when you break up. This is what happened to Seth Rollins, right? His wife that he was with, or fiance, or whoever it was, she's the one that got pissed and posted the Seth Rollins picture, right? That was out there.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to worry about what happens when. That's also why you got to protect yourself, because you make somebody mad and they're vindictive. That happens. We see that all the time. They just post them online now, so everybody's gonna see you. So it sucks. It's terrible. It's the whole aspect of our generation. It's just.
That's why Brad Mannix is getting heat on this stuff.
Yeah, he totally just went off the grid because of this.
Exactly. Yeah. And people are going to say, oh, he's, taking advantage and he's, putting this out there and he really shouldn't. But, who knows? I mean, there could be hackers. It could have been him doing this to be a jerk.
I don't think it was him. I don't think it was him at all. Somebody hacked into it.
Yeah, and that could be that probably is the case. I mean, let's be honest. But I think that there's different ways to look at it, and there's many different people looking at this situation different than we are. Maybe really finding this offensive or finding this is very okay. I mean, I personally don't put pictures of that of myself. If I do, I usually send out a picture. If it's going to be like a personal, private picture of myself, it's usually that Titus O'Neil picture, that he sent of his own junk. I send that one out to people if they want to pick of me, So, I mean, you can do that on the internet now.
What the hell?
Well, just people are curious. They're like, well, here, look at this.
Okay.
And, but anyway, moving on. I think this is very interesting. And, for the fact that, this is such a social topic and it's come to fruition in this day and age. And now, we cover wrestling on this show, and it's affecting the wrestling business in a big, big way. And I don't see it stopping. I don't think it's going to.
Look, and like we said, it's celebrities got hacked. Emma Watson, various others. Like, this is a thing that is going to continue to happen. So you just have to be careful, of what of where you put it. Where you post it online. And it's I do want to say one thing. Like, the people that, I get it. We all have different standards and morals and everything else in life, right? We all have different ways of looking at the world and what we do, what we don't do. But if you're judging Paige on what she did at 19, 20 years old, shut up already. Yeah, all of us have done something dumb. at that age, and even when you older, like it's just, Gary can, everybody already talked about stuff he could, I did stuff until my daughter was born, and even probably after that, I regret. Nothing of the like sexual nature or whatever, but just putting myself in a situation that I shouldn't have been in, that caused a lot of problems or whatever. But it's just like, listen, judging that person and then tagging her parents with those photos and those videos, like, dude, get off your, like, why do people, I just don't get it. Like, how low is your mental state that you have to do that? It's just, it's freaking terrible. Like,
Keyboard warriors. That's all you can say is keyboard warriors.
Like I said, I don't envy her at all. I feel terrible for them, for Paige. I hope that she's able to rise above this and is able to show up on WWE TV again, and that people will just forget about this and let it go on. And maybe it helps with the movie and gets people interested, thinking that there's going to be something about that in the movie, which, look, there's not going to be. There might be like one of those like written afterwards or something about it, but that's about all you're going to get. They're not going to have somebody doing Brad Maddox impersonating that part of the movie. They're not going to be doing that.
I just wish they do that thing in the ending credits. You know how they do in some comedies where they'll show pictures like at the end and in the credits. Maybe they could do that during the end credits, just show various pictures.
But
oh,
it's like one of those things, right? Like, just, maybe, but this is terrible, and I just hope that it's not like the Hulk Hogan thing where it follows her so far that she can't have a career or anything like that, because that'd just be awful. She didn't deserve that, and
I want her to have a career. I just want to say that I think that she has a possibility. Her mindset, even before this was leaked, was not really in WWE. And she wanted to be out of there because her fiance wanted her out of there. She wants out of there because her fiance's not there. It's a commutative thing here. They both wanted away from WWE, which is that's their prerogative. But for us to think that, especially after this, that she's going to be back anytime soon, it's hard for me to see. Now they may want her back because of that movie, and they may do it. They may just have the balls and say, "Screw it, we don't care. We're going to put her out there." But I think that you got to have Paige at her best to do that, because at her state, especially if she's considering suicide or any of the things like that, you don't need to have her involved in anything. You need to let her have her own time and space, because that does not help your company at all. So I don't expect her seeing her anytime soon. Paul, I mean, do you feel any differently than that, or how do you feel?
WWE already has a fair few reasons racked up as to why they shouldn't bring Paige back, or why they should just let her go from her contract, or whatever they want to do as far as her job status with her. And whether this has an effect or not, we won't know, because if they do let her go, this certainly won't be the reason why they list, if ever. I don't, with the movie, maybe they just keep her around and have her do promotional stuff at that. And if she's having mental problems, then I think, and this is just my state of thinking, whether this is where their minds are at or not, WWE has a moral sort of right to send Paige somewhere to get help in trying to deal with whatever she's got going on in her mind right now, because clearly this isn't going to keep you in any fit state to do much of anything, and on top of all the other problems that you're having or not having, as we hear, secondhand across the internet. But I can see her on WWE TV again at some point. It may not be anytime in the near future, though.
Yeah, what do you think, Sean?
It's weird for me to, like, I think if you're saying that you're not going to, you're going to have to keep her on ice for a little bit, because obviously the sooner you bring her out, the more likely it is that you have people that remember. Because, this every day, since this is leaked, there's been more stuff that's come out with Paige. So until there is a while where there are no leaks with any, and this is it sucks for Paige, if more comes out with other divas, probably means she's going to have to wait until that dies down too. Because there's threats from the hackers or whatever that there's possibly more coming, which is terrible, and hopefully that person gets caught eventually. But obviously this stuff's going to have to die down. I don't know if the same thing's going to happen. Obviously the same thing's probably not going to happen for Xavier Woods, because they just had him on Raw in a pre-tape segment. I don't know how they're going to handle this at WrestleMania, where you might possibly have people doing this, but on the network they can control the volume levels much easier than they can on TV. As you heard us talking about on Raw, the crowd for Brooklyn sometimes decided that they wanted to do their own thing, and they chanted, New Day F's, and they chanted, "We want Paige," and stuff like that. So, they had to start muting the crowd. They chanted CM Punk a bazillion times too, which, just stop with it already. Just stop. It's stupid. But yeah, just I think that she's going to show up. I think you have to, because it's about conquering this, right? It's about, without a better word, turning a page in your life and saying, "Look, I'm above this. I'm not going to let this beat me and be my story. I'm going to go on and be somebody and show that you can overcome when something like this happens to you." And that's what you need. That success story. Not, honestly, for me, like, if you run and hide and go to and don't even try to make a comeback, or WWE releases her, I feel like all the times you tell those kids to be a star, it's bullshit now. You have to allow her to have that time to see what happens. Because this wasn't her fault. And if it goes wrong, then you got to figure out something. But I just think it would be completely wrong to never bring her back at all and just release her. And then she goes over to TNA, and I don't think it'd be the same. Okay, great, she goes over and does some cool stuff at TNA, but it's she should be able to have that moment in WWE and be able to say, "Look, I still had a career after this stupid thing happened to me."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and we also need to track the relationship between Paige and Patron, because we don't know how that's going to kind of handle this whole chaotic situation. Is he cool, just moving on and getting past this, or has he got this thing where he can't get past it and it causes a split between those two? Because if that's to happen, she's going to definitely go in a different way and he's going to go on his own. So, I mean, it's really going to determine the future of Paige, I feel, depending on how her relationship continues with Alberto Patron. And I'm sure we'll find out in the near future how that shakes out. Usually anything they do is in the news pretty fast. So I think overall, I mean, I hope good things for her. I hate that this happened. This is not the last time we're going to hear this, though, like we keep talking about. So I'm just waiting for the next one. I'm waiting for, honestly, the one I'm waiting for is Renee Young and Ambrose. I'm waiting for that video to finally come out, So I think the people would pay good money to see that. But, what they did with that, WWE Championship, I can't, that's going to be crazy awesome to see what's happening with that. But anyway, and also, hopefully AJ Lee doesn't, have this happen to her too, because Paul, keep those videos private.
It's worth mentioning she made a tweet where she has her Divas Championship that she was given, and she sort of tucked it in underneath a bunch of covers and said, "Shh, you're safe now."
That's awesome. Oh man. Well, at least she didn't give hers away. So, but yeah. No, I mean, we'll hopefully in the near future we won't be talking about this so much, but that's what's going on with Paige. If we have any further details, anything else that we need to share, trust me, on this week's part 2, we'll get more into it if there's any further news. If not, we'll just move on and talk about other big news topics. But yeah, we're going to get into some more quick hits here. So we're going to go through these pretty quickly. We've covered a lot already in this segment, so we're going to kind of jump through these. But one piece of news that I'm really excited about talking about is the fact that the Hall of Fame is coming and the Rock and Roll Express are going to be inducted. And Jim Cornette gets to induct them. I can't believe this is happening, guys. I never thought in a million years this would be allowed. Wow. This is huge news, Paul. What the heck?
Yeah, Jim Cornette is not known for keeping his mouth shut, and I wager he could get in a lot of trouble for whatever he's planning on saying, because on Twitter he's saying that Cold Front is coming to their hell, so that already doesn't put him in a great light. But he is the right guy to do this as far as history and all that goes. He was their manager for a long time. He's the reason they got brought into the WWE in the 90s. As well as a big proponent of their success in Smoky Mountain Wrestling and the promotion that he ran in the 90s as well. So a lot of history here, all that good stuff. I'm happy for them on that front. And you sort of have, I guess, a must-watch induction speech now.
Yeah, certainly. How quickly are they going to...
Cut away?
Yeah, cut away from. No, I just want to say that right now, apparently, JR's wife was hit riding her Vespa, and she has multiple skull fractures.
Ooh.
And in surgery right now, so definitely sending prayers from all of us her way right now. That's terrible. But, yeah, Cornette, he obviously has his problems with Vince, and he has multiple problems with, Kevin Owens and quite a few other people, so this is going to be interesting to see how this gets handled, because are they going to let him backstage? Is he going to be an adult about this and just kind of forgive everyone, or what's he going to do here? So... we have seen these humble stories happen. Once they get into the Hall of Fame, I'm sure there'll be a WWE 24, which apparently that Kurt Angle full interview is going to come on the WWE 24, by the way. So, but, yeah, I mean, this is interesting, certainly.
It's interesting, and it's going to make, I think, to be very nervous, but it's the right thing to do. if you ask me, it's completely the right thing to do. There's no one else that really needs to induct them, and I hope he can be respectful. I don't know if it'll happen, but he has to, be thankful that they even let him do it. So we'll see. I think maybe he wants you to pay more attention to the stuff that he's doing, and so he's throwing tweets out there. I don't know. We'll see. He may shock the world and do some pretty weird things. Let's move on, though. TNA, or excuse me, scratch that name away. Impact Wrestling and AAA now have an agreement.
The interesting part about this is that Impact Wrestling, or TNA, they have a working relationship with The Crash, which is Conan's rival promotion to AAA in Mexico, and there is a fierce rivalry between the two. So how that's all going to play out is interesting. But Jeff Jarrett's been close to AAA for a long time, so this isn't really a big shocker, but newsworthy it is.
Well, I mean, how do you think that this affects the relationship? Do you think Conan just says, okay, that's in Mexico, this is in the U.S., the two don't have to mix, or like...
I haven't a clue. I mean, Conan is, he's been known to be vindictive at times, and I think the more interesting proponent of all this is how Lucha Underground's going to work out, because I don't know how well TNA and they think of each other. But I don't know. It's like TNA obviously doesn't have any plans, or at least I don't think they have any plans to try to run Mexico anytime soon. I don't know. I mean, TNA talent has shown up on the Crash promotion before. I don't know if they're going to start showing up at AAA, but it could be something worth keeping an eye on.
Yeah, things could get messy quick. So, talking about some interesting moves in the world of wrestling, let's talk about the fact that there are some rumors circulating within WWN Live and, of course, Evolve that Kyle O'Reilly is around and they want him to be a part of their, the companies.
I think Kyle O'Reilly fits in very well with what Evolve is trying to do as far as style and wrestling and all that good stuff. And especially when you look at all the people they've been signing recently, I think he fits in very well with that type of caliber of star too. So, if NXT isn't coming calling like people thought they were, Evolve is always a good step to get your foot in the door that way if that's where he wants to be.
Drew Galloway has just joined the Bullet Club at the What Culture Bulletproof show.
Wow. Man, the Bullet Club just gets bigger and badder day by day, don't they?
It's certainly he's the kind of guy that would fit in the Bullet Club. Big name indie guy, former WWE connection, Gaijin. I don't see why not. Especially if he starts showing up in New Japan, then all the better for him.
Yeah, for sure, man. I really hope that works out for him. Drew Galloway, a great talent, definitely deserves a big stage. Let's talk about another guy that's been on a big stage in the past and currently and maybe even in the future. Bill Goldberg apparently is welcome back further past WrestleMania within WWE. They said that they are open to that if he wants to do it.
So his current contract has the one Raw left before WrestleMania, which is next week, and WrestleMania, and then that's all he has signed on for. If he wants to work more, I mean, good for him and good for WWE, I guess, as far as being open to it. But I can't say my interest is super high into letting them sink more time into Goldberg and trying to make him something to care about, because I really don't.
For me, this is the thing. Like, WWE obviously doesn't. WWE thinks about how can we draw the house and and draw the pay-per-view numbers and whatever, and he's only a part-timer, and how many of these pay-per-views is he really going to be able to work? Would he be willing to take a Brock, like the Brock schedule that he had the first time around? I feel like you have to start having him wrestle guys that are currently on your roster and not just squashing them. Perhaps build it up to lose to someone. Have that aura of being beaten by someone other than Brock Lesnar. Which seems like most likely to happen, that Brock is eventually just going to beat him at WrestleMania. But I feel like if you don't do that, you didn't really find a way for it to help out your current crop of talent, which that always sucks. I think that's hurtful. Just the way that, that plan of Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns again for WrestleMania 34, I feel like you should be doing that with Goldberg too.
Yeah, fair enough. I think that, having Goldberg and something else besides just, what's going on with Brock Lesnar would be very valuable, and I think it would also help some other person get over that needs to really do it, and even if it is a guy like, Kevin Owens, I think, using Goldberg in that fashion would be a great thing, and then Goldberg can move on down the line and do whatever he wants to do outside of wrestling. So, one last thing here we have in Quick Hits is Peter Casa apparently is taking a hiatus from wrestling. Of course, he was injured at an Evolve show when the ropes broke, so apparently he needs to take some time off.
Herniated disc in his neck or spine or somewhere in that area. Doctors and a bunch of other people have said that it's lucky that he could even walk, let alone finish the match like he did. So absolutely props to Peter Casa. These surgeries that he's going to have to get aren't cheap either, which is probably why he's thinking about something else outside of wrestling. The dude, however, is super talented. It is really unfortunate that this had to happen because he could have been a really, really big deal, especially for Evolve. But just as far as another guy, when you look at big names being signed up by WWE, the independent wrestling scene at the top is the big names are sort of thinned out, and he could have been one of those guys to take places.
Yeah, Peter Costa's, a guy I like watching wrestle, so it kind of sucks that he has to go away. It's neck problems are never good. Hopefully, it's not something that affects him, long term. But usually, neck problems are. So, I hate this for him.
I do too. This is such a terrible thing, and hopefully, best is to him and his family, he can get better. But we'll see. But yeah, that's Quick Hits for us for this episode. We are going to be.
Oh, I was gonna.
Go ahead.
One more thing. Manami Toyota announced that she's retiring.
I can't believe I forgot about that. Manami Toyota is maybe the very best women's wrestler I've ever seen in my life, and certainly worthy of being talked about as one of the best wrestlers, regardless of gender, in all of wrestling. She was a phenomenal talent, very much responsible for the huge Joshi boom in Japan and in all Japan women's wrestling in the early 90s. Super, super talented lady. She's retiring on her exact anniversary, 30th anniversary in November. And it's a show I'm really looking forward to watching. I mean, she's been great. She's so good. If you've never watched any of her matches, her and Aja Kong can't miss.
That's awesome.
Definitely.
Wow. Well, there you go. It's great to hear she'll go out the way she wants to go out, right? I mean, that's awesome. And, of course, go check her out. If you haven't seen her, go check her out. I think I need to go check her out, too. I've never watched some of her matches, so this sounds like an interesting piece of homework for me. But, yeah, guys, we are going to move on from here, though, and we got to talk some New Japan Cup. That's right. We're going to do that. Plus, don't forget, a little bit later, we're going to talk some Ring of Honor. But let's go ahead and talk some New Japan.
Oh, dang it. Hold on. Well, they did also release the Sakura Genesis full card now, so we can talk about that before we get into New Japan Cup, I guess. Well, I can't find the thing, so, or maybe. Damn it. Whatever, I'll have to go find it on, I forgot that the stupid studio took out the New Japan song in here. So, anyway, New Japan Cup 2017 ended this morning, or, well, Monday morning, with Katsuri Shibata winning the New Japan Cup over Bad Luck Fale. As probably a lot of you know by now, but if you don't, there you go. But Paul, we probably need to backtrack a little bit to the last time we talked about this. So we did 2 matches in the quarterfinals. I thought Shibata and Juice was good. It wasn't great or anything. But then Ishii and Sanada had one heck of a match. With the contrast of styles, with Ishii forcing, because when you get in a match with Ishii, you're eventually going to have to go to his style and brawl with him. And he made Sanada have to get out of his finesse, drop kicking and moonsaulting, and have to start elbowing and everything else. And eventually Ishii put him away, but man, they had one hell of a match.
Yeah, I think Sanada really got to showcase himself well in that match, despite Ishii getting the victory. Sanada is somebody who, has sort of been on that cusp of, are they pushing him? Are they not? Are they content to let him hang around where he is? Sort of in the same role that Yoshihashi is in, where he gets wins, he gets the big ones that sort of matter at the beginning, and then sort of fizzles out. What some places call the baby brother role, as far as who they're in the shadow of, Yoshihashi and Okada's, and Sanada, obviously, and Naito's. Great match. Great match. One of the best of the quarterfinals. Ironically, Ishii's worst match, and I would still probably put it at 4 stars in this tournament. That's certainly commendable. I mean, granted, Ishii's working with top talent, but, nobody puts on as many great matches as Ishii does. I thought Shibata and Juice, however, told a pretty good story of Juice is either constantly underestimated or is always just that eager to prove himself, because he was not afraid to step in Shibata's game, and Shibata was more than content to stand and bang with him. But I think Juice more than held his own, and we'll see Juice especially in the finals. If you watch the entire card, he's been having a lot of beef with Naito recently too, and looks like big things might be on the horizon for young Juice Robinson here in New Japan.
Yeah, I mean, Juice Robinson continues to. Every time we see him, he gets better. He has terrific matches. He had that terrific match with Goto. Now he goes and has one with Shibata, and he's proved with Goto that he could hang with him, and he did with Shibata as well. So, I mean, I sort of expected this from Juice. It's great that he got, again, another moment to shine and prove that he did the right thing, going to New Japan, making himself better, and I feel like at some point he's going to be rewarded for that, and in many ways he already is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, he's certainly the beneficiary of the biggest push so far out of the last crop of young lions. And some of that obviously might have a lot to do with the fact that he has a bit of a name coming from WWE and a lot more experience than your David Finleys or your Yos and Shows and Jay Whites and the like. But certainly I think has proved that he has earned a place in the New Japan card structure.
Yeah, so then we had the two semifinal matches. Evil and Fale was sort of what it was. Fale eventually got the win, a pretty dominant win with a grenade and then putting him away with the Bad Luck Fall. Also got interference from Tamatonga and Bushi, where I think Fale got some of the mist on his head.
Mm-hmm.
So Fale winds up winning, goes to the final. Then you get Ishii and Shibata part trois since last year, and this did not disappoint at all. My God, another freaking great match with these two. Oh, just beating each other, counters, the spot where they sit down and slap each other, that was ridiculous. But Shibata, knowing that there was no way he was going to be punching and kicking Ishii to the ground, he had to choke out Ishii in order to win. And that's what happens. You get, Ishii passes out, he doesn't give up. And Shibata wins, goes on to the final to face Fale. What'd you think of the two semifinal matches there?
Boy, so Evil and Bad Luck Fale started out a little rough, but I think it found its way eventually. Evil gets to look triple tough in this match too. Fale casually throwing barricades and how rough he was with Evil just, I think, really helped Evil sort of stand out and at least look like he could hang with them for a while, even though that would be what would cost him as they tried to play the game that the Bullet Club mastered a long time ago, and that's interference. And Fale's overbearing power just overcame him. Ishii and Shibata tore the house down. Like, amazing match. I thought it was better than Ishii's outing with Omega. Just incredible. Like the lengths these guys will go to in simple forearms is just incredible. The hits they were landing on each other were brutal. If you loved any of their matches from last year, I think this might have topped most of those, if not all of them. Absolutely incredible. I can't speak well enough of this match.
Yeah, just absolutely freaking great. You need to go watch this. Totally on par again with Omega and with Omega and Ishii. Better than the other, the Evil Tanahashi and Sanada Ishii, but damn, just it's absolutely just, if you like men being men and freaking whooping each other until they can't no more, and Shibata just realizing, look, I'm gonna have to take him out to get this win. It's pretty cool to see. So then you get the final, which this has to be the best Fale match I think I've ever seen. That moment when, Fale hits the finisher and everything, you're like, oh my god, are they really going to have Fale win? But Shibata winds up winning. He is your New Japan Cup winner, and he announces that he's going to wrestle Kazuchika Okada at Sakura Genesis. So there we go. We know that we're having the match.
Yeah, Twitter collectively exploded after the announcement. Shibata and Okada has been something people have been after for a while. I completely agree with you about the match. Fale might have had the best match of his career. And going into it, I think the tournament, despite some of its shortcomings as far as match quality, certainly told a story. Fale looked incredibly dominant the whole way through. He beat a lot of big guys, only to come up just a hair short against Shibata. I absolutely bid after he hit the grenade that I thought he was about to win the whole damn thing. Shibata mirroring Okada's title run right now because he had an absolutely brutal match with Suzuki. Him and Juice took him further than I think he ever imagined, and then that absolute classic with Ishii where they beat the bejesus out of each other, and then to overcome Fale at the end. Just these guys are going to be beat up and banged up and looking to be as vicious as they can against each other to try to win this thing. And whether Shibata wins the championship or not, at this current moment is sort of secondary to the fact that it looks like New Japan and everybody else that goes to see these shows and the crowds are 100% behind Shibata and want him to be the main eventer that they always wanted him to be the first time around.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, look what signing a contract can do for you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, he showed last year he can draw. He carried that never openweight title. They had the story with the New Japan dads giving them the respect. You know, he had another terrific. He had a G1 where, you know, people were like, "Oh God, it's another one of these years for Shibata." And well, 2017, a lot of people were saying, "Okay, this is that year," and it looks like we're finally getting there. I will say that looks like they're going to either do this at Dontaku or Dominion with Okada and Shibata because they decided to go a different route here. But or I guess this is, I don't know if this is a Road to. Never mind. I apologize. I'm looking at the wrong thing here. But yeah, so speaking of the next show, which is on April 9th, that's set to already happen and everything else. You have Okada Shibata for the Heavyweight Championship. You have Kushida and Hiromu for the Junior Heavyweight title. And you have Goto versus Zack Sabre Jr. for the Never title. You have it's Ishii and Yano are taking on Omega and Fale.
Mm-hmm.
And you have Tiger Mask W making another appearance. Tiger Mask W and Tiger Mask 4, Nagata and Makabe against Bullet Club B Team with Goals of Destiny and Yujiro and Chase Owens.
Out of nowhere, Chase Owens. Like, we haven't seen him at all in a while.
He just shows up. I wonder if, like, did Hanare get hurt?
Yes. Hanare's ankle is, I don't know if it's broken or what, but he injured it, I think, back in February.
Okay.
And I sorely miss him. He was my favorite out of all these guys so far, and him and Kitamura could be an incredible tag team, too, by the way, just thinking about that out loud. But
yeah, speaking of, they are going to have a Kawato, Oka, and Kitamura against Finlay, Liger, and Nakanishi. 6-man. They did have the, what did you think of the two Young Lion matches on the finals show? I did watch those.
Oka and Kawato's time limit draw on the opener I thought was great. Really got to show fire, really got a good picture, I think, of where both of them are at. Kawato gets to play the babyface in peril while Oka dominates and Kawato hits the big moves every once in a while. Kitamura teaming up with Nagata to take on Tenkozy, I thought was also equally as good. We're talking about hovering around 3-star territory. Kitamura is ridiculously impressive. Not only does his overly large muscular physique make him stand out in a sea of, I don't want to say fat, but certainly less defined people, which in no way betrays their strength at all, because a lot of these guys are super powerful. But Kitamura just looks different. I think he works different. I think people are already super behind him, and he could really be a breakout star for him if he's handled correctly.
Yeah, certainly. I forgot to mention you get Kanemaru and Taichi against Jado and Geto for the junior tag team titles as well. The Bookers putting themselves in a spot where they're going to lose, probably. Even though we have seen them win belts before. So
it's only the junior tags. Like it's not like it's going to break the world if they win.
Oh, but people are going to go crazy because, oh my God, it's the Bookers putting themselves over or whatever, But yeah, it's I think like Kitamura is totally impressive. Like you look at him and you're like, holy crap! They weren't talking about this. They weren't kidding when they called this guy a monster. Like literally, he walks out and you're like, it's just like the human form of Godzilla or something. Like, geez, and him like trading the shoulder blocks with Kojima forever was just like that showcases that power. He's certainly there. He makes Oka look very ordinary, and Oka's a big dude too.
Oka is a head taller than Kitamura, but not by maybe half a head. And I would not picture Oka to be a short person at all.
No. So it's just and then on the Road to show you're gonna get Oka and Fale. So that should be interesting. But yeah, I mean I thought I really liked the Kawato and Oka match because you had the big man little man thing with Kawato trying to keep him grounded, and they went at it, but they just couldn't keep each other down long enough for the pin, and then you get the draw. So I was cool with that.
I guess while we're on the topic of Young Lions too, they did announce another Young Lions show for late April. So, or Lionsgate, excuse me. I think it's April 21st, if I remember correctly. So that is still alive and breathing, whether it gets booked more often or not.
I think it's April 21st and May 9th. I think they have two shows.
Oh. Okay. I didn't hear about the May one. I only heard about April, but that's cool. If they can keep getting promotions to send Young Lions and other younger talent to these shows, then they could be onto something that I mean, it'll never be giant, but people do love to watch the Young Lion journey, and I love the New Japan crop, and I love to see more.
Yeah, certainly. I want to see them get to have more matches, and with this roster continuing to grow, and the possibility of now Drew Galloway getting to show up on it since he's a Bullet Club member. I mean, it seems like the spots are getting smaller and smaller, but hey, we'll have to see how they continue to divide this up. But interesting card here for Sakura Genesis. You also got Beretta and Rocky and Yoshihashi against Taka's Desperado and Suzuki. But I mean, I like what we're getting here, and there's 4 title matches with Tenkozy also defending against War Machine. That should be fun.
I'm really looking forward to that. War Machine's work in New Japan has been wonderful. I don't know if they'll beat Tenkozy here or not, but a good showing can certainly go a long way for these guys. And we get more Tanahashi and Prince taking on LIJ too, which that is always fun. Ricochet showing up again, but no Elgin, which is interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting. Is he doing PWG or something?
I don't know. I know Glory Pro has another show. I can't remember if it's in April or if it's later. But it could be that, which is, of course, his own promotion. But he might be doing PWG or something else like that. It's very possible.
Yeah, possible. Yeah, it's totally true. Ricochet being the next challenger for Hiromu, you think that's where they're going here?
Maybe. I don't know where to if Hiromu even beats Kushida here or not, because they could hotshot it back to Kushida, as they are wont to do. I would be okay with Ricochet challenging. I would even be okay with Tiger Mask W challenging, ironically enough, just to sort of see how they interact. Even though we've had Tiger Mask W have that outstanding match with Okada. And I wouldn't be shocked if Suzuki Gun guy steps up to challenge either. Like Despy or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely, if Hiromu wins, would they have another heel team? Would they have the heel versus heel?
LIJ is like Hiromu gets cheered no matter what, I think. Whether it's because he has that same thing that Kenny does where girls just find him attractive, and the dude has also proven that he straight up works almost to the point of killing himself at times. But certainly, I think he has the crowd and all the respect behind him, so I feel like it could work against Taka or Despy if they want to go that way. Ricochet is perfectly fine too. They seem want to make sure that Hiromu gets over, and big title matches, and obviously Ricochet being a former champ and all that good stuff is there. I mean, there's Ospreay in the wings too, who has stated on multiple occasions that he wants to be junior heavyweight champion. So
yeah, exactly. What do you think about Zack Sabre? Kind of, he's a heavyweight in New Japan, but Ospreay's not.
We've seen people, like, obviously, we've seen juniors, I think, challenge for the never openweight title before. And it is openweight. So if Zack is going to be a junior, great. If he's going to work heavyweight, that's fine too. Honestly, I think they just wanted to make this match because they know it's going to be super awesome. Sabre can work just as stiff as Goto can. Goto obviously likes to throw suplexes more than he does submissions like Zack does, but I feel like that's a great match waiting to happen. And they also seem very intent on making sure Sabre is a big deal, and if he comes out with all 3 belts again, I would be shocked to see him walk out with 4.
That'd be freaking amazing, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
So, pretty cool for him if he walks out with all 4 of them. Some certainly big time matches. I don't, would they do you think they do this 2 years in a row where you have Okada lose at the first try like they did with Naito last year?
There's a difference between where Naito was and where Shibata is as far as what they had accomplished. Naito had obviously challenged for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship before. He has history with the company. He'd proven, I think, that he was a commodity that they wanted to do something with long before they put the strap on him, and LIJ just happened to be the tipping point. I think Shibata is incredibly over. I think a lot of people on both sides of the Pacific absolutely adore the man, and he's an incredible talent, and there's a part of me that wonders if they don't give him the championship, are people still going to be interested in watching him chase Okada again, or Naito, or however they choose to follow up with this? Because I feel like you can always have Okada. He's always going to be in the run for the heavyweight title, no matter whether he's holding it, whether he's away from it, no matter what. That's his area of control. I think Shibata could use a win here to at least elevate and solidify. So I would say there's a chance. I don't know if it's a large one, but I would be shocked if the thought has not crossed Geto's mind to have Shibata win at Sakura Genesis there in Ryogoku Sumo Hall. Excuse me.
Yeah. I mean, it's all possible there. It's an interesting thing, certainly, for Shibata to win on that first attempt, and maybe he goes into... They have a rematch at Dominion, and maybe he goes into G1 the champion?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I would think they would move on to a different title defense if Shibata comes up short here. And that's not to sell Shibata short or anything like that, but they've seemed very intent on varying and making each opponent for Okada seem like that next big step. And whether it's Shibata again or Omega again, or they go a different route, they want the big, they've had every title defense so far for Okada has been big fight, right? I don't know, depending on how great this goes over, because I feel like they're going to do Omega again before the end of the year. So I don't know, but
yeah, that's what has me wondering, because before you get to the G1, you have those US shows.
Mm-hmm.
And would they even consider having anybody but Okada hold the belt before then? Because, the thing is with those US shows, it doesn't matter who's champion, because those things are going to sell out. People are going to go.
Right.
People are going to travel all over the United States to go to that show.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if New Japan is going to see it that way. And perhaps, they keep it on Okada again through the G1. But there's also thought to be, what if they do have Shibata win at Sakura Genesis and he keeps it all the way? And the way that they avoid the whole Shibata winning the G1 is have Shibata be the champion in G1.
Right. Shibata proved that he can draw in England. I would think that New Japan has a pulse on what's happening here in the States. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing these shows. And I think, you're right. People are going to show up to these. They're going to sell out that building. It's going to be great. I don't think they're so worried about drawing as so much as doing right by the fans at home in Japan. And we're sort of a secondary thought of, we want to grow here, but this isn't the core audience that we're catering to, right? And I think people very much need to keep that in mind moving forward, even past the G1 specials this year. But I don't feel like, whether Okada has the belt or whether Shibata has the belt, as far as drawing in America, I don't think really matters. I think going forward, Shibata having the championship is interesting, and but at the same time, I don't think the ship has sailed on needing to move the belt off Okada yet, just because this reign has been so incredible. That I'd love to see how long he could keep pulling out these great matches from people. So, it's one of those great times in New Japan where it's win-win for your title defense here.
All right. So, going from there, I think that's sort of it. We covered. Oh, there was one thing. So, the New Japan English website released a statement from Hanma, where he talks about his how he's doing. And he says that Jado's DDT in the match is the hardest one he's ever felt. That he couldn't feel anything below his neck. That he tried to seek, but nothing would come out. Things went black, and he's like, I guess this is what it's like to cross the river Styx. And he heard a voice calling to him, and a lightning experience happened. And that he's able to move his feet and hands, but he's still paralyzed from the neck down. So he's somebody else is typed this for him, but he's doing rehab, and he hopes that he can be in a New Japan ring again. So
that's, great to hear, but Jesus Christ, does that sound scary?
Yeah.
Anytime you hear voices after an injury like that, it makes you concerned. So I hope that, he does get an opportunity to get back in the ring, but man, it seems a little far-fetched with that type of injury. I hate to say it, but it just does. That's terrifying. So, but hey, at least he's letting people know what's going on, and that's positive. At least we kind of can, be sympathetic, and not only that, happy he can move some parts of his body. Extremities are at least moving at some capacity, so that's good stuff. But yeah, okay, well, that's it for New Japan. We're going to move on and quickly get through Ring of Honor here. We've got a TV taping to get into, so why don't we do that now?
My Ring of Honor thing disappeared again.
So New Japan and Ring of Honor music disappeared. That's okay. Paul, well, let's just jump into this head first then.
Let's do it. First of all, they open. Silas and the Beard City Bruiser get a quick promo announcing that they have found their third man finally and will challenge for the six-man tag team championships at Supercard of Honor. That still hasn't been addressed on TV yet, even though if you read the internet or spoilers or anything like that, or if you go on Ring of Honor's website, you already know what's happened there. Silas Young and Beer City Bruiser then get a tag team match against Cheeseburger and Will Ferrara. I think this is a fun match. Cheeseburger and Ferrara always get good bits here, seeing as they are the trainers in the ROH dojo now and sort of mainstays. And but Silas and the Bruiser do go over after Bruiser literally squashes Ferrara into the mat with a frog splash. I enjoyed this personally.
I did too. I really didn't expect to be honest with you. I thought this was going to be kind of a squash match, Mm-hmm. So I really didn't think anything of it. But man, watching it, I think they really turned it up when it came to the awesome just tag team wrestling when it comes to tandem moves and things like that. They really amped it up. It wasn't just, hey, tag me in, tag me out. They were really using those double team moves like crazy. They were not just your same old same. They just really innovative here, mm-hmm. and really great stuff. So, this is a match that surprisingly enough, it opened the show, but it had a lot of good quality action, and I thoroughly enjoyed it for, a match that you'd usually look at and say, squash, boring, just move on. It's really good. And I'm excited about, I haven't read the spoiler, so I'm really excited about finding out who is going to be that third person for Silas Young and the Beer City Bruiser. But, at least they get a chance here to look good.
I should mention that it's not about the third person. It's about who holds the six-man titles now, since the injury to TK O'Ryan put him out for a long time or a short time. They haven't announced a time frame for him yet, but he broke his shin quite badly. So,
jeez.
Moving on, we get the last quarterfinal match here in the Top Prospect Tournament as Josh the Goods Woods takes on the heir apparent Chris LaRusso. LaRusso is from Pittsburgh, which is where the tapings are, so he has the crowd thoroughly in his corner. Josh Woods has collegiate wrestling and MMA in his background and sort of, I don't want to say wrestles like a poor man's Matt Riddle, but there's a lot of that in there. He likes grapples. He ends up winning this actually with a big sidekick to the side of LaRusso's head that knocks him out and causes the referee to stop the match. Woods fits in very well with the style of Ring of Honor. I feel like Chris LaRusso more than held his own here. And both, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing them back in Ring of Honor, honestly. This match isn't anything over the top special, but I think the picture you get creates something that leaves you wanting to see more from both guys.
I totally agree. And, I look at LaRusso and say, man, I mean, he embodies a lot of great potential, and he's a guy that I could definitely see sticking around with Ring of Honor. And, Josh Woods, I wasn't really right away sold, to be honest with you. I like the fact that you brought up Matt Riddle. That is a good point, and you could obviously see the MMA background. It's just right there in your face the entire match. But yet he still maintained a good persona. He still went through this match without, really making a lot of mistakes. I feel like he did a pretty good job. His finisher is, of course, an MMA move, but I think it was a good finisher. And it was out of nowhere, to be honest with you, because he had been using some kicks here and there in this match, and you really didn't think anything like that would take him down. But I think, the way they did it, it was solid. It made sense to, the background he had. I'm okay with it. I think both guys could offer Ring of Honor something.
Completely agree with you. Moving on from there, we get highlights of Lio Rush and Kenny King's interactions from last week. That sets up their singles contest. I thought this was really, really good as well. They're all speed and big flurries of moves at the beginning, and then it sort of slows down and turns into a big striking contest. Kenny King gets the big win with the, I don't know what to call it. The way I wrote it down was an F5 into a sort of rock bottom, and just absolutely planted Rush. Whether Ring of Honor at this point knew that Rush was leaving or not, I don't know, and if this was all just planned out as part of the story, then good on them. But this left me wanting a lot more. I feel like 15 minutes with these two, you could have something really special on your hands.
Yeah, and the question of Lio Rush being a part of this company or not in the near future, that's the one thing that you kind of wondered if they knew or did not know. Because, when you do leave a company, before their tapings are over and you're a part of them, they'll go ahead and do these type things, or they'll have you lose and, kind of get you on down the way. I don't know if it was or not, but I will say this, is you're completely right. A really great match. It's exciting. I love Kenny King for what it's worth. I mean, he's not my favorite of all time, but I do like the guy. I really respected his work. And Lio Rush, I am over the moon for this guy. I mean, he is amazing. So they put on a good match. They really presented themselves in a really positive fashion. And I hope we get more of this. I think we are. And, to see where we're going from here. But I honestly was a little surprised that Kenny King won. I really didn't expect it to happen that way. Is there anything wrong with it? No, actually it wasn't, because it was a good match.
After the match, Lio Rush sort of stands up and looks like he's about to get in a big fight with Caprice and Kenny afterwards. Shane Taylor comes into the ring, looks to be on Leo's side. However, he turns on him, absolutely destroys him with a powerbomb, and ends up doing the rebellion pose afterwards with Caprice and Kenny. Whether this means that they have a foursome now, or Rhett Titus is actually injured from the angle that they did last week, or what have you, I think this is a good fit. Shane Taylor sort of left in a lurch after Keith Lee's departure, as he signed with Evolve instead of Ring of Honor. Certainly, I could see him having a beef with Ring of Honor management and all that good stuff about them driving away his friend or what have you. But I can dig Shane Taylor being a part of the Rebellion.
Oh, I love it too. I mean, it gives them that big imposing force that they're lacking.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, because if they face anybody else that has big men, they're in trouble because none of those guys are big. So now they have that extra addition that's going to really support them and put them over in a new category, if you ask me. So I'm completely thrilled with that, and to see what they're going to do, with that situation. And you gotta love the fact that no matter what Lio Rush does, they always seem to have an answer, and it's never one that Lio Rush wants to hear or know about because it's usually about him getting hurt. So I wonder still once again, with Lio Rush leaving, are they going to let him get any kind of comeuppance, or is he going to leave without any? That's the big question.
Absolutely. Main event: Jay White takes on Jay Briscoe. This is a rematch from their time limit draw back in. I want to say November, back in Philly. I loved that match. I loved this one just the same. You get lots of callbacks. Jay White, same pesky, not really backing down from Briscoe, and equally giving it back to him in turns, especially at the beginning whenever he comes out all full of fire and piss and vinegar and whatever else comes out of you whenever you're pissed off. And Briscoe meets him with his own angry redneck rage, and they just have an absolutely standout match. Jay White's going to be a star no matter where he goes, whether his future lies with New Japan down the road or if he decides to move on or whatever. But certainly if he goes back to New Japan, future junior heavyweight champion. No doubt about it.
Oh, man, I could see a multitude of great things happening for Jay White. I think this guy is just kind of like Lio Rush, so talented. Has a certain way about him that you just know he's, kind of oozes success. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do. This match was just proof that he can hang with the big ones. He can hang with those big dogs that come in and usually run the show. But no, this guy is just as talented. He can, produce a great match when maybe some people didn't think it could happen. So I think overall we had a great, showing here for both guys. They both put their bodies through the ringer, like going to the table from the outside, inside the ropes to also throwing outside to the table. That was kind of fun. Things like that were added to this match to make it more impactful. But overall, really good match. And I think that, this is kind of fun to watch, this journey of Jay White.
Yeah, I'd be Jay Briscoe does win this. After absolutely almost killing Jay White with a Death Valley driver. White kicks out at 1. We get some pushing and shoving. Briscoe spits on him. White hits him with a forearm. Briscoe returns the forearm and then absolutely decapitates him with a lariat to finally put Jay White down. It's Jay White's first singles loss in Ring of Honor. There's just... Go watch this match. It's really, really good. Absolutely worth your time. And whether Jay White wins championships here in Ring of Honor or not, I kind of hope he does. But wherever he goes, he's a star. He's going to be a star.
Yeah, you were not wrong about that. And I'm, we're going to second. You need to go watch this show. I really, like I said, enjoyed the first match. I think even this last match, both are, reasons alone to go watch it. But the stuff in between is good as well. So you're not really going to be losing anything if you watch the entire thing. And it's really highly recommended you do. So, but yeah, that's Ring of Honor for us for this week. Of course, we'll have next Monday some more Ring of Honor stuff for you guys to listen to. But we are done with that portion of the show, and we are actually done with the entire show now. So we want to, say thank you once again for coming and joining us. Whether you find us through W2Mnet.com or you found us through Wrestling to the Max or even through the W2M Network, we appreciate everybody who's found us. Please go subscribe and rate and review and do all those great things for us. It definitely makes us a lot happier to see that people are enjoying what we're doing here and also to see, what kind of ratings we get. It's really nice to see that kind of stuff. So please do that on iTunes for us. And also, don't forget, there's other great content just besides our show on W2Mnet.com. There's other great shows and some really awesome written articles that you're going to want to go read. So please go check that out, too. But yeah, we are done. So for myself, for Sean, and for Paul, if you're not living life to the max,
You're not living life at all.
You know it.
Please.
later.
The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.